My name is Anita. Welcome back to your yoga journey, one that intends to empower you towards a sustainable home yoga practice and build your body awareness through that process. I encourage you before diving into each session to take as much time as you have to deepen your awareness of your breath. And by that I mean taking time to notice qualities of each of your inhales, each of your exhales. Start to feel not only how your physical body responds, but also how you respond on a mental level. I also recommend throughout this series that you begin to incorporate a few cat-cows, as shown in the first session, or even some more components of a sun salutation to warm up your body and connect on a deeper level with your breath through movement. It is this practice, this unguided practice, that will begin to incrementally build good habits for you. I hope you're enjoying the journey, and thank you once again for allowing me to be your guide throughout Yoga on the Road's beginner tutorials. It is my most humble honour to share what I have learnt through the practice of yoga with people like yourself. Thank you. Namaste. Right, so as you make your way to a position that supports you, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the theme today. And it's about finding the right balance between making things happen and letting things happen. So what tends to happen is when we focus all our energy on making things happen, we attach an outcome to that. So as opposed to if we let things happen, there is a tendency for things to happen a little more organically. So you can think about this in our practice, and that's really about how much you're striving or attempting to make a pose happen. And then if you get stuck in that frame of mind, you might start to notice that the more you try and make something happen, you realise that you're attaching an outcome to it. Whereas if you just let something happen, and the difference might be that the shape of your pose might not look exactly the same as someone else's, but it feels right in your body. So the concept, I guess, between making and letting something happen is that firstly it encourages us to sustain our practice for a much longer time without interruption, because the flow of things are happening naturally. Yeah, I think that's all I have to speak to you of that at the moment. So take a few moments to let yourself check in with your body naturally. So just notice where your attention drifts throughout your physical space. And see if you can do this without your mind telling you where your attention needs to go. Take a moment to thank yourself for showing up to continue your practice. And then at the same time, be aware of any attachment to the outcome, any effort you put into your practice. And throughout today, I just want you to focus on seeing where you can release that feeling. Bring your awareness now to your breath. And again, have a feeling of just letting your breath happen. Let your breath naturally move into your body. Let your breath naturally move out of the body. watch the natural rise and fall of the breath. At the end of that breath, take a moment to set an intention, whether it's related to our theme today or something else that sits with you. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Take an audible sigh or exhale out through your mouth. Take one more just like this. Then at the end of that, if you're laying down, gently come to a seated position so that I can move you into the first position. And I'll give you a funny example of the difference between making and letting. So after Sue last week said, I would love a video on this class that I really enjoyed today. And I thought about it and I wrote it all down and I thought easy peasy. As soon as I got home and started to film it, I was focusing too much on making it happen. So I actually lost the naturalness that you probably really enjoyed about the class. So I filmed 40 minutes of it and then just went, fuck it, this is like too much effort. So I'm nearly there, Sue, but I found that because I didn't let it happen naturally, it felt very forced, and even watching it back felt very unnatural. So that's the difference for me between making something happen, which is a struggle and I was focused on an outcome, to letting something happen, which is what I was able to do in teaching that class. The letting was me coming from a place where I had a lesson to teach you and it happened naturally and you guys felt that because of it, whereas me sitting at home with a camera in front of me didn't have the same authenticity to it. Okay, so I'm going to move you into our first pose. You'll need a blanket up against the wall, and probably the most difficult part about this pose is coming into it. So I want you to first off come down into like a fetal position so that your sit bones are all the way up against the wall. And the transition is rolling over so that your feet are up the wall, soles of the feet pressing together with this diamond shape in your legs. Okay, once you are there, press the soles of your feet together firmly and just draw the toes back a little away from one another, and notice where you feel your energy is gone from the effort that you've created in your feet. And then you can release the feet, notice what releases in your muscles, and then just keep on applying pressure by pressing the soles of your feet together and noticing where you feel the energy shift. Just do that a couple of times. You might notice that your hips are starting to open a little. You might not. Just notice what it is you notice. Then take the hands to the inside of your knees and slowly start to apply about 10% pressure, pressing the knees away from you. At the same time, have a feeling of pressing your knees back into your hands. So it's these two actions. You're pushing away to open the hips, but at the same time, you're pushing the knees back into the hands to create some energy. So in this effort, honour it and then release any outcome. And just spend a few moments between actively pressing the knees away to open the hips, and then energetically pressing your knees back into your hands. So it's like equal amounts. And in between, you might even like to just let your knees flutter in and out like a butterfly's wings, I guess. Just feel into the hips. Don't forget to connect with your breath. And then gently draw the knees together, hug the knees in towards your chest. Make any movements that you need to maybe massage out the back of your spine. And then extend your legs up the wall. Draw your toes back towards your shins. So create again some effort in the pose. And then as soon as you feel that effort, start to stretch your legs apart. So we're coming into this wide leg. You might need to be courteous of your neighbour. In fact, if you really thought about it, you could use each other's feet to prop your legs up. All right. In this pose, the idea is still to actively or create energy in the pose by drawing the toes back towards the feet. The toes back towards the shins. And just oscillate your energy between relaxing the feet, noticing where you feel that part of the pose in your body, and then actively engage the feet again by pressing out strongly through your heels, drawing your toes back towards your shin, and noticing how that changes. And again, you can play around with the movement or position of your legs by drawing them back in slightly together and then taking them back out. Take 5 breaths here. If I didn't mention already, the other theme of this class today is our hips. Moving into the last couple of breaths, start to draw your legs together. Bend your knees, draw your thighs in towards your chest. Make any movement that you need to. And then as you feel ready, slowly start to make your way. Actually, to save any collisions, everyone roll off to your right-hand side. And then slowly start to make your way up to all fours. You might need to remove any blankets so they're not in your way. Let's begin our movement practice. I'm just going to change the orientation of my mat now. So, starting with all fours so that your knees are stacked below your hips, your hands are slightly in front of your shoulder line. Begin to breathe in, draw the belly down towards the mat. Open through the chest and soften through your throat, ready for an out breath. As you tilt your pelvis so your sit bones move down, your navel draws up and your shoulders broaden. Move between your inhale and your exhale with movement. So each time you move into an in-breath, your belly comes forward.
Each time you move into an out breath, your spine rounds and pushes up towards the ceiling. Breathe in. Breathe out. Wherever you're at with the breath. So throughout the practice, during the movement component of our practice, start to ask yourself what parts of your body need to work here. And then adversely, you could ask yourself what parts need to relax. Take 4 more breaths as you move through cat and cow. And then before we start to move into our salutations to warm us up, bring your big toes together, take your knees wide apart, settle your hips back to your heels, let your forehead rest towards the floor or even towards your forearms crossed. And even though this is considered a restorative pose, honour the effort in this pose. So what is it about this pose that your attention is drawn to? Release everything else. Inhale, slowly transition back to all fours. Make any adjustments to your knees. Tuck your toes underneath. And then inhale, hover the knees off the mat, just holding an inch or so, feeling and acknowledging what part of your body is working here. And then as you exhale, push back, sending your sit bones up towards the ceiling. Press your heels down in towards the mat, and because it's our first downward dog, move through whatever movement you're drawn to this morning. Where can you relax in this pose just a little bit more? And it might be that you just let your head hang a little bit longer. You release any tension from your neck. It might be that you bend your knees just a little bit to accommodate any tension that you're still feeling in the back of the legs. Find where you can release. We're holding for 2 more breaths. Inhale, look forward between your hands. Exhale, step, jump, walk to the top of the mat or walk your hands back to meet your feet. And let's meet together in a halfway lift. Keep pressing out through the crown of your head. Breathe out, forward fold. Press down into your feet, rise all the way up, sweep your arms up. Press your hands together, draw the hands to the heart. Let's move through 4 half salutations. Breathe in, float the arms up. Breathe out, forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold on an exhale. Press down into the feet energetically to lift all the way up. Look up if it feels okay for your neck. Press the palms together. Exhale, hands to heart. Move through 1 more with your breath. Let's build onto that very shortly. Breathe in, arms float up. Breathe out, forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. I'm just going to make an adjustment here. Breathe out, forward fold. Press down into your feet, rise all the way up. If you're halfway down your mat, walk to the top of your mat. Inhale. Breathe in. Breathe out, forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. Breathe out, step your right foot back, lower your knee to the ground. Press down into your right hand. In fact, take your right hand forward of your left foot slightly and quite wide. And then lean into that hand and you're slowly opening your chest towards your bent knee. Extend your arm all the way up. Beautiful. Acknowledge any effort that you're putting into this pose and then release any outcome. It's just a pose. Slowly lower your left hand, frame your front foot. Reposition your hands so that they're framing your foot. Extend through your back leg or your right leg. Transition to downward facing dog. Take one breath here. Again, asking yourself where you can release anything more in this pose. Inhale, float forward to plank. So let your shoulders move out over your wrists, creating one long line in your body from the heels that you're pressing out through to the crown of your head. Lower from here for some of you. For others, lower your knees to the ground. To support you, lower your chest to the ground. Breathe in, baby cobra or up dog, depending on how much lift you want to create this morning. Breathe out, downward facing dog. Hold for 2 breaths. Look forward between your hands, step, jump, walk to whatever way you need to meet in a halfway lift. Breathe out, forward fold. Press down into the feet, rise all the way up. Sweep the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Breathe out, hands to heart. Side B, breathe in, arms float up. Forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. This time we're extending the left foot out. Lower your left knee to the ground. Take your left hand slightly in front of the line of your right foot and slightly broader than. Press into that hand, open the right hand up towards the ceiling. Ask yourself what parts of your body need to work here. Is it that your hand is supporting you? Is it your legs? You're feeling it in your hips. And then whatever it is, release anything else. One more breath. Frame your front foot. Reposition your hands. Back toe is tucked under. Lift your left knee from the ground. Step your back foot forward to meet the front. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Press down into the feet, rise all the way up. Breathe out, hands to heart. Take your blocks, set them up on the highest level. And in fact, bring them close together so that they're like this. And then come to rest your hands on them so that your shoulders are out over the wrists. I'm just going to lubricate the hips for a moment. So bend your right knee and keep your left leg extended. And then we're going to change that over. So now extend through the right leg as you bend your left knee. Just move through that a couple of times. Slowly move back to centre. Bend your right knee, press your right hand down into the block and start to open your left arm all the way up towards the ceiling. Slowly lower the hand back down towards the block. As you do that, extend through the legs. Lift your hands away from the blocks and start to press the palms of your hands up towards the ceiling. Keep reaching through the crown of your head to encourage a nice strong spine. Keep drawing your navel up towards your spine to help the core support your spine. Transition. Bend your knees deeply. Extend your arms overhead, chair pose. Great. Sink as deep as comfortably possible for you. And then inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms float up. Breathe out, forward fold. Bring your hands back to the blocks. Breathe in, halfway lift. Bend now through your left knee. Press your left hand down into the block. Sweep your right arm up towards the ceiling. Lower the right hand down towards the ground. Extend through both legs. Reach the palms up towards the ceiling. So we're in this halfway lift with your chin tucking slightly in towards your collarbone to encourage you to reach out through the crown of the head. Your navel drawing up towards your spine to encourage a strong straight spine. And then transition. Bend the knees, sweep the arms out and up, chair pose. Is that someone's tummy rumbling? Breathe in, all the way up. Breathe out, hands to heart. Breathe out, fold. We'll move through a little quicker this time. Breathe in, halfway lift. Bend through your right knee. Extend through your left arm. Lower the hand back down to the block. Halfway lift, hands press up towards the ceiling. Bend the knees, transition, Utkatasana or chair pose. Breathe in, lift all the way up. Breathe out, hands to heart. Moving straight into the opposite side. Breathe in, arms float up. Breathe out, forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. Bend through your right knee. Is that correct?
No, left knee.
Left knee, thank you. Open up through the right hand. Bring the right hand back down. Come into this halfway lift, pressing the hands up towards the ceiling. Encouraging a straight spine, really drawing the shoulders back on towards your back and down away from the ears. Transition, chair pose, bend deep. Inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Breathe in, arms float up. Breathe out, forward fold. Remove the blocks just for the moment. Step or walk back to downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths here. And then make your way to child's pose. Transition to downward facing dog. Look forward between your hands. Walk to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Press down into the feet, rise all the way up. Breathe out, hands to heart. Interlace the hands behind your back and then draw the shoulders together. If you can extend through the elbows, then press the interlaced hands away from you. If not, this is sufficient. So wherever you find yourself there. Soften through your knees. Fold the torso forward. Keep pressing your chin in towards your collarbone, or not pressing it, sorry, moving it in that direction of, and then lift the hands up as high as is comfortable for you. Bend the knees even deeper. Release the interlace of your hands. Extend the arms forward. So we're in this chair pose again. Balance your weight now into your left foot. Find a spot on the floor that you can use to anchor your attention. Step your right foot back. Great. Lift up through the hands. Lower the hands to the ground. Lower your knee to the ground. And then take your block onto the inside of your left ankle. And you'll play around the inside, Cara. Yep, and then you'll play around with the height once we get there. So bring your forearms to the block. Option 2 is to tuck your back toes under, press down into the ball of your foot and lift and extend your knee. Wherever you find yourself, take a few deep breaths. Honour any effort wherever you found yourself and release any outcome. Breathe into the pose. Use your hands to bring you back up. Step your back foot in slightly and then keep your front knee bent so the knee is still placed over the ankle. Inhale, lift your arms up. So we're in this modified warrior pose. Exhale, interlace the hands behind the back. Again, use a spot on the floor to help anchor your balance. Draw the hands or the shoulders back. You might like to stay here. If you're looking for a little more depth in your practice this morning, move the chest in towards the inside of your left leg. Let the head and neck relax. And just extend the arms wherever comfortable. Release the hands. Frame your front foot, release or remove the block. Step back, downward facing dog. Let's move through a vinyasa or a flow. So inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower. Chest moves all the way to the ground. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Two breaths here. Now I've got to remember all that for the other side. Inhale, look forward between your hands. Exhale, step, jump or walk to the top of your mat. And halfway lift. Breathe out, forward fold. Press down into the feet, rise all the way up. Breathe out, hands to heart. Take your hands and interlace them behind your back. This time take the non-habitual interlace, so it'll be the non-natural side. Press the fists down away from you, draw the shoulders back towards one another. Bend through the knees, and then pivoting from your hips, let your torso move down into this halfway kind of forward fold. Keep hands up. Bend a little deeper in your knees. Release the interlace of your hands. Chair pose or Utkatasana. So now balance the weight in your right foot. Find that spot on the floor that will anchor your balance. Step your left foot back. Lift your arms up. Great. Modified warrior one. Lower your hands to the ground to frame your front foot. Lower your left knee to the ground. Take your block and place it on the inside of your right ankle. At whatever setting you used on side A, rest your forearms. Perfect. And then just take your option that you took on side A. So if you stayed supported on your knee, enjoy that experience again. If you want to amp it up a little bit, extend through your left leg. Take 2 more breaths here. Honouring the effort on this side of the pose. Noticing where you can make any small releases. Prop yourself back up. Step your back foot in slightly. And then we're transitioning into 1. Okay, interlace the hands behind your back. Know that this is enough of an experience in your pose. Otherwise, start to move your chest and torso to the inside of your right leg as you press and extend out through the fists. Release the interlace of the hands, frame your front foot, remove the block, transition back to downward facing dog. Pedal or cycle the legs out, feel back into your hips. One last vinyasa for practice. Inhale, float forward, plank position. Lower, chest moves towards the ground. Rise, chest lifts away from the mat. Push back, child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Let yourself rest. Take 2 more breaths here. Slowly come back to seated. I'm just going to move you into a twist. So take your right knee, bend the knee, and move the heel of your right foot as close as you can towards the outer part of your left hip. And then you'll take your left leg, cross it over the right leg. Yeah, if it doesn't quite want to cross, this is enough because it's just a twist. So we're coming into that pose. Place your left hand down behind your left hip. Lift your right arm up. Okay, so remember that I'm going to be turning a different way to all you people up the back. So just think opposite, Anita. Okay, turn your chest towards the left. And then here's your options. You can either hug your left leg, or you can place the elbow in behind the left leg and push away. Great. And then let your head move wherever it's naturally drawn to. So if it's all the way around so that you're looking over your left shoulder, only because that feels comfortable for your neck, then that's a place to meet yourself. You could actually just look straight ahead. If you wanted to change the neck and head orientation altogether, you could look back out over your right shoulder. In yoga training, they call this the model's pose. Now, remembering that we're in a twist, don't forget to breathe, feel the quality of your breath. Take 3 breaths here. Unhook the arm wherever it's at. Breathe out to release, come back to center. Roll your weight now onto your right hip. As you do that, start to extend your right leg out. Okay, this next pose is a little bit of trial and error. Take your right hand and take it well behind your right hip. So, the people at the right of the wall might need to move well forward of your mat. Okay, step your left foot out a little bit. And then everybody roll to your right hip, so the outer edge of your right hip. Jane, you'll be coming this way. Okay, now remember that the outer edge of your right foot, that's your extended leg, and your left foot are going to be your weight bearers, as well as your right hand. So you might almost need a little bit of momentum. We're rocking, at the same time pressing into the outer edge of the right foot, into the hand, and lifting up into a side stretch. And then just as gracefully as you went in, come out, roll back over, unhook the leg. We're now taking the left foot or the left heel to the outer edge of your right hip, taking your right leg, crossing it over your left knee. And this is always interesting too, because they can be completely different from side orientation. So you basically want the opposite arm up to the knee that's out the front of you. Twist towards the knee, hook your arm either around your leg or elbow in behind the knee. All right, find the head orientation that worked for you and stay for 3 breaths. Unhook the arm. Roll to the outer left hip. Extend the leg. Great. Take your left hand and place it well behind your left hip so that it's in front of the shoulder line. Roll to the outer left hip. Simultaneously, you're going to press down into the very outer edge of your left foot, your right foot, your left hand, lift the hips up and extend the arm. Notice what part of the pose is really working here and where, if anywhere, you can relax or release just a little bit. So you've got more energy for the working part. When you're ready, slowly lower. Unhook the legs. Come to lie back on your mat. So that your knees are bent. Your arms are extended. You're possibly holding hands with your neighbour. And then just as we start to wind up, slowly let your knees just rock from side to side. If you feel inclined to, you might let the knees rest to one side for a little longer. Find a position for your head. If you've chosen to rest the legs, then now would be a good time to swap that position over, moving in the opposite direction. And then as you feel ready, coming into Shavasana. So I'm going to put the option out there for any of you that feel they'd like to finish their practice with the legs up the wall, then that's an option. So it's really setting yourself up exactly the same as we were at the beginning of practice, with your legs up the wall. Otherwise, add any props that you need to support you. If you want to place a rolled blanket beneath your knees, then that invitation is there.
Now you've arrived at the end of this session, give yourself some time to integrate your practice. Set up your space where you can allow yourself to experience a conscious and restful state. Make sure this space is free from any distractions. You might like to utilize a pillow for beneath your head, a blanket roll beneath your knees so they are slightly bent, and some ambient music. Hit play and surrender your body, mind and soul to stillness. Lay, resting, and tune into whatever sensations your awareness is drawn to for whatever time you have available. Alternatively, if you have your own writing or journal practice, turn to a fresh page, connect pen to paper, and reflect on the movement you have just experienced, including what you noticed during this practice. What felt great in that practice? And also, what did you notice when a pose or movement challenged you? Once again, these unguided practices are helping you set up and create a habit that will support you physically, mentally, and emotionally.